So I was recently in my local card game shop and I was buying a board game. I was waiting at the till and these kids were ahead of me and they were buying some more sweets. They were clearly already on a sugar high because they were very excitable. And I overheard them saying something to the effect of, God, if I just had £100, I could buy so many cards. And I found that really endearing and sweet, and it really stuck in my head because I related so hard. When I was a kid, me and my friends would go down to our local card game shop and we would befriend the owner and we would play cards for hours, and we would just like look at the shelves stacked with so many different cards, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And we would just think, God, if only we had money. So that really stuck with me. And then I cast my mind back to when I was 12 years old, and I just spoke about this in a recent side channel video about Magic the Gathering and how much that game means to me. Well, the very first deck of cards that I ever bought, I remember was £7, and I remember convincing my mum to buy it, and I felt like this was like so much money to me as a kid. £7 was like, I know this is expensive, but I really, really want these cards. And it was a deck called Pain Flow from the Judgment set, which was part of the Odyssey block. I remember this because I have since bought that pack. I bought this on eBay for £20, which is much more than the £7 that 12-year-old PJ paid. And I actually think it would probably go for quite a lot more now. I think somewhere in the region of £50 to £80 for a sealed box of Judgment Pain Flow. This came out in 2002. This is still brand new. This is sealed. It's in great condition. So about a year ago, I was on a bit of a nostalgia dive and I found it and I was like, oh yeah, this is the first pre-constructed deck that I ever bought. And I bought it to maybe soothe my inner child. And it's just kind of been sitting on my shelf, kind of doing nothing. Still sealed in the packet, but effectively doing nothing. And I remember being young and stupidly generous, and I would just give my stuff away to my friends. I gave one of my friends just all these cards, and I did the same with all my crazy bones. For some reason, I just gave them away to my friend, and like, I don't have many regrets in life. That's definitely one of them. Like, these are things that were very special to me as a kid, and I would love to be able to like look back at them now. And yeah, I foolishly just gave them away. And it's always really bugged me that I gave away this particular set, my first ever pre-constructed deck of Magic the Gathering cards. I don't know why, it's just bugged me. And so something my friend Phil said to me at the start of this year was his mantra for 2024 was all pleasure now. And I was like, ooh, all pleasure now, what does that mean? And Phil basically said, if I want something, I'm going to have it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to treat myself, because what's the point in waiting when you could have it now? Now, that doesn't apply to every single situation, but it certainly applies to some situations. And so thinking about it, in this situation, I have a sealed box of cards from my childhood, and it's sitting on the shelf, sealed away, doing nothing. What am I hoping to achieve from having this sealed? I've not looked at the cards. Am I going to resell it? No, I didn't buy it to resell it. I bought it for that irreplicable childhood hit of nostalgia, and I have not fully had it yet because I have not opened it. So I was thinking, all pleasure now, I'm going to open it. I don't care if it decreases the value, because I want to experience what I experienced for the first time opening this box so excitedly as a kid, looking at all of the cards and just taking it all in. I want to do that now with you here watching. So let's do that. Okay, Pain Flow. Look at this mean ass looking insect dude on the front. Expert level. Overwhelm your opponents like a force of nature. The Pain Flow deck rushes in with early creatures and enhancers. Then pump out monsters until your enemy breaks under the pressure. Hell yeah, dude. I always really love this as well. It tells you the other decks in the set: Air Razors, Spectral Slam, and Inundation. Oh, I had that one as well. Again, foolishly gave a lot of those cards away. Let's take a look. Now, I am not good at opening packages. I'm pretty reckless, honestly. So there's no need for us to be reckless. Let's open it nice and carefully anyway. It'll be nice to keep the box and cards in good condition. Oh my gosh. This is from 2002. This is older than some people watching this video. Wow. How does it smell? Yeah, smells like fresh new cards. Oh, yeah, baby. Magic the Gathering. Let's crack this pack open and take a little look at what's inside. Swamp? Maybe it just gives you a shiny swamp. Maybe that's random. I'm losing my patience. I'm bringing the knife in. I will carefully use my knife. Yeah, I can just do this. Careful not to damage the cards, Peach. Don't damage the cards. Is this knife sharp enough? It's just kind of wild to think. So what is this, 12 years old? No, 22 years old. Uh-oh. It's wild to think this was packaged 22 years ago. That's kind of hard to fathom in a way. All pleasure now, baby. Some card collectors might be watching this like, PJ, no, what are you doing? I'm doing this for me, baby. So yeah, these decks come with a little leaflet telling you about what's inside, a little bit of story. We've got a list of all the cards that come in the deck. If you like big, fat monsters, then this is the deck for you. I do like big, fat monsters. I remember this deck has druids and insects, and I think it has these giant worms, if memory serves me correctly. So there's the swamp. Oh yeah, Crush of Worms. Put 3 6/6 green worm creature tokens into play. That's a sorcery for 9. Damn, I remember thinking this was so goddamn powerful. And maybe it was back then. I was like, wow, this is like having 18 power on the board, which it effectively is. And it has flashback. Very nice. Roar of the Worm. Yeah, this deck was all about ramping up into your big, big worm tokens. And this comes with 2 of them, I think. Grisly Fate. Put 2/2 green bear tokens into play. Lovely. A little bit of bear action on the artwork there. And they're fighting what looks like not a minotaur, a centaur. Yeah, this is a centaur. Half man, half horse? Sudden strength. The Mirari's magic transformed the Crozen Forest and its inhabitants. Yeah, this guy's getting super buff. Look at that. Can I get what he's getting? I love the colors back here. The greens and the blues of the forest. Yeah, this is highly, highly nostalgic for me, man. Saton's Desire. Enchant creature gets +2/+2. Yeah, these cards are not playable by today's standards, but at the time, you know, this is what the set was doing at the time. Deep Reconnaissance? How do you say that? Have I said that wrong? A little bit of Rampus Bampus there. Search your library for a land, put it into play. Very nice. Moment's Peace. I love the art on this one. Look at that. That's really beautiful. I love the composition of the tree and the background with the mountains. It's almost like watercolor art as well. I like that a lot. We got a couple of those. Tunneler Worm. Look at this guy. A 6/6 worm busting out of the ground. Discard a card from your hand, regenerate Tunneler Worm. So you think you've killed this bad boy? No, no, no. He comes right back. Yeah, I used to think this was so badass. Look at the artwork. That's such an imposing camera angle. And you can see there's like little people down here on the cliff showing you just how massive this worm is. And I think that's the great thing with this game. It captured my imagination so beautifully. Like when I would play these cards, I could imagine a huge worm busting out of the table. If an Anurid's lucky, it will find a warm tunnel for bedtime. If a worm's lucky, it will find a warm Anurid for breakfast. Oh, I mean, that is the circle of life, isn't it? Thriss Nantuko Primus. Yeah, this guy's a rare one. Insect Druid Legend. 5/5 for 7. When you live for others, you live for yourself. Oh, how noble. That guy looks awesome. He's the guy on the box as well. Yeah, there he is. Thriss. Yeah, his name's Thriss. Giant Warthog. You can't have a deck without a giant warthog in it. When the ancestor saw the cruelty her human children were capable of, her fury shook the world. From this outburst sprang the Warthogs. Not the Warhogs! It's a 5/5 with trample. It's pretty simple. It's got glowy eyes. It's pretty badass. Love a giant warthog. 3 giant warthogs. 4 giant warthogs. Oh my god, this deck is flush with giant warthogs. Battlefield Scrounger. Oh man, look, the forests are all on fire back here. Maybe this was the centaur from the other card. I said in my previous video about Magic how a lot of the characters and the artwork are depicted across multiple cards, which is really fun. So you got a couple of those guys. Rabid Elephant. I always loved this card. Look at this. When in doubt, stomp. That's a good lesson for life in general, I would say. I love this elephant's orange hair. And he's fighting what looks like to be another centaur. I guess the centaurs and the elephants are not friends in this world. Pity. Oh yeah, got a couple of those. When in doubt, stomp. Crozen Archer. Lovely. A little 2/3 with reach. And you can buff him up by discarding a card from your hand. Well, I suppose this deck has a lot of flashback, which is where you could play cards from your graveyard. So maybe that is good. This is a pre-constructed deck, so it's basically ready to play out of the box. You don't need to modify it in any way. Brawn. I love this card so much. I remember this one so specifically. It's a 3/3 with trample. As long as it's in your graveyard and you control a forest, creatures you control have trample. That's incredibly powerful, man. I have arrived, bellowed Brawn, and the plane shuddered. And it's an incarnation, which is pretty cool. Each color, I believe, had a different incarnation that did something like this. Cheeky couple of Brawns. A Nurid Bark Ripper. He looks like he's about to chomp down on something. When it croaks, so do you. This is what I was talking about in my last video. I like how humorous some of the flavor text was. When it croaks, so do you. That was so silly. Look at him. He got all these little spikes coming out of him, ready to rip some bark, baby. Nantuko Elder. It's an insect druid. Plant a field with wishes, and you will still grow more wishes. Nantuko Teaching. Ooh, very wise. He's a little mana dork. Is he any good? Yeah, actually, that's pretty good. Add 1 and a green to your mana pool. It's pretty decent ramping, actually, for a deck with such high-cost creatures. Oh, we saw this guy in my last video. A Nurid Swarm Snapper. This is one of the cards I still had. I guess I gave my friend a lot of these cards, but I couldn't bring myself to give him the Swarm Snapper. Anurids have the problem of airborne invaders licked. Absolutely love a good pun. Got a couple of these froggy dudes here. Werebear. This is a classic, man. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, I'm thinking of Grizzly Bears. Grizzly Bears is a 2/2 for 2 that does nothing else. So I don't know if that's from this set or not, but it's become kind of like a colloquialism that people will say. Nowadays, if there's a card that's a 2/2 for 2, but it also does something, like it's a 2/2 for 2, but it has Death Touch. People will say, oh, this is a bear with upside because it's like the Grizzly Bear, but it also does something else. But this is the Werebear. He's a druid bear. Look at his armor. He's got this bark skin armor all over him of some kind. He exercises his right to bear arms. That's a bit silly. I know I said I liked some of the jokey flavor text, but that's a bit silly. So he's a mana dork, but he also gets more powerful if you've got Threshold. That's nice. Very nice. Got a few bears in the pack. Nantuko Tracer. Your past is a map to where you will go. These Nantuko, they're pretty wise. Crozen Wayfarer. I don't need to tell this story again, but this is the card that reminded me of that bit from Zelda. Sniff, sniff. You have something, don't you? The Crozen Forest lives, and druids are its seeds. Love this little guy. There's a good little bit of ramp as well. You could chump block with this and then put a land card from your hand into play. That's pretty good, honestly. Diligent Farmhand. Look at this little farmer guy just chilling out by the tree. This is a really beautiful art as well. You got the wheat fields in the background. You got some mountains back here. A little bit of water behind the tree. This is lovely. He's a 1/1 for 1. He does quite a lot of stuff, actually. He is diligent. Look at him. Look how much stuff he does. Oh, we got 3 of him. Oh, and then we've got the forest. Oh, these basic lands. Oh, that is beautiful. Look at these, man. This is my favorite style of basic land from Magic the Gathering. This era of lands are just so beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong, I do like the new full art land cards, but there's something about these that are just like, maybe it's just my nostalgia talking, but like, the artwork is just so lovely. They would all have been hand painted as well, I believe. They might still do that for some cards. I imagine they do a lot of digital stuff now, but this probably would have been hand painted, I imagine. Or hand painted and then scanned. They've not hand painted each individual card. That would be insane for mass producing cards. And we hand paint every single one. We went out of business in a week. Whoa, so that's the deck. Pain Flow. Well, I can tell you my inner child is not feeling pain right now at all. He's feeling at peace. This was really nice. I remember cracking this box open as a 12-year-old and looking through all these cards for the first time and just studying them. What do they do? What do they look like? And I just had an absolute blast. And I'm so happy I opened the box today because just having it sealed on the shelf was not giving me this pleasure that I'm experiencing right now. All these cards I gave away. I don't have any of these worms anymore because I gave them all to a friend. Stupid generous PJ. What would be really fun actually is to get a couple more of these old pre-con boxes and play with them. Just play with them out of the box as they were, just to remember how these decks actually played. This was definitely a time where Magic felt a little bit more simple. It's a little bit more complicated now just because there's so many more abilities and rules and stuff. But when I think of being a kid and getting into Magic, this is what I think of right here. This box right here. Beautiful. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did.